Hello everyone, this is Guillermo of 413 Media Group, and for today's 413 review, we're going to talk about Filipino martial arts being included in the Olympics. Now, before I get on to talking about that, please click like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's go! Boom! One year from now, in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, karate will finally be in the games for the first time in Olympic history. Personally, for me, it's pretty exciting because I used to do karate when I was younger, and it's another martial art joining in the Olympic Games. Now, as many of you know, Filipino martial arts, or FMA, has never ever been in the Olympic Games, and it actually is this desire to be included in the Olympic Games that has led to the creation of some international sporting organizations for FMA, including WCAF, GSBA, PCAF. There's a lot of them. Unfortunately, we haven't been successful in getting FMA into the Olympics yet. Why is that? Well, first off, let's talk about what it takes to get a sport into the Olympics. First off, it must have an international governing body for the sport. For FMA, there are several international sporting groups, so that's a check. Next one is that sport must be practiced in more than 75 countries for men and more than 40 countries for women. Okay, wait, now I know FMA is very popular all over the world, but more than 75 countries, that's a lot. And even if it is being practiced in more than 75 countries, not all of those countries participate in the sportive aspect of FMA. So that's a bit of a big X mark, and FMA organizations and the international sporting groups of FMA should work harder to promote the sport aspect of FMA. Now, I recently read an article regarding this topic. It's titled Arnis' Whimsical Bid to the Olympics. Very interesting and short read. I will link the article in the description below, so take a look at that. The author made a few points on why he thinks it's whimsical and why it is unrealistic to get FMA into the Olympics. And he also made a few points on what he thinks should be done to improve the situation. I will be taking a look at a few of them and providing my opinion. Now, the first is the issue he has on the 10-point must scoring system that is adopted by most of the big international sports organizations of FMA, and it is very similar to boxing, wherein the winning person, the one with the advantage, gets a 10, and then the one who is losing, who has a slight disadvantage, gets a 9. If they're really losing, it's an 8. Close to getting disqualified is a 10-7. But what makes this a big difference is that even if you're kind of losing, if you punch a person really hard and you get a knockdown, that is a -1. So it could even out to a 9-9. In FMA, because of the armor and the protective aspect of the armor, you can't really knock them down. In fact, we stop the match if somebody is knocked down. It's not a -1. Now, the author makes a point that the absence of this ability to give knockdowns or knockout makes the 10-point must system dumb. Well, not quite. In fact, there is a way to get a -1 penalty to the other opponent, and that is through disarms. It's kind of like a knockdown. Instead of knocking them down, you take their stick, because now they're at a huge disadvantage, therefore that gives them a -1. And in fact, if you do that 3 times in a match, you give them a TKO, a technical knockout. So knockouts do exist. It's just safer, and you're not, trying to kill each other. And then the other thing he mentions under that is that because of the armors, which prevents pain, it ends up being a drumming competition. Well, yes, you do see a lot of this drumming competition. However, it is in the rules that they must show some strategic defense. It's just that judges and referees of some organizations are not enforcing it. But it is in the rules that they should show defense, some defensive tactics. Also, to add to that, the armor doesn't prevent pain, it simply prevents permanent damage. And if you really believe that it is not painful at all when you wear the armor, that means either 1, you've never competed, or you did compete and your opponent just doesn't know how to hit properly. Because again, it doesn't prevent pain. So all in all, yes, rules, it has to be enforced properly. Maybe it has to be reworked on. But I think the biggest solution to all of that is standardized training of judges. What do I mean by that? I've been in a lot of tournaments where we're looking for judges, we can't find one, and then somebody comes up and is like, I'm gonna judge. And in my head, I'm like, I'm sorry, who are you? And then they're like, I'm a grandmaster of so-and-so. And I'm like, cool, have you judged in a tournament before? And they're like, no, but I'm a grandmaster. And I'm like, okay, you're a grandmaster in that art. Awesome, kudos, respect, pugay, and all that. But that doesn't make you a grandmaster of judging the sport aspect of FMA. There are, of course, similarities and overlaps, but it is not the same thing. So again, standardized training of judges. Now there are a few other points, but there are a couple of them that he made that I thought was really interesting and I really agree with. One of them is that he mentioned that fight apparel should be trendy and cool. And I actually really agree with that. Now, if you compare that with karate, judo, and taekwondo, which will be in the Olympics, who have their uniforms based out of very traditional and long history, FMA doesn't really have that long of a history with having uniforms in terms of practicing in the gym, in the studio. But we can change up the armor to look even trendier and cooler. Don't know how, but again, as I mentioned in another video, I really do think that the armor should be redesigned. And part of that redesign should be, how do you make it look cool while making it safe at the same time, thus attracting more competitors and audiences. Lastly, he mentioned enabling technology, just like using composite, lightweight materials for the armor, kind of like the Unified Weapons Master armors. Now, I'm not really thinking of that though in terms of enabling technology, but rather just like how fencing use their electronic scoring system, we should use that in some way as well. Now, a lot of people also mention that FMA is a blade-oriented art. Why are you guys fighting with sticks? Well, that's a whole nother topic in itself, but that point makes sense. So we should have a knife sport. And that is where the AccuStrike Mimic LED knife comes into play, where not only is it blade-based and under the banner of Filipino martial arts, but the technology being used is really cool and trendy. It lights up and it makes sounds, beep, beep, right? And it's very easy for the judges to figure out what's going on and for the audiences as well. So I really think that the future of FMA in the Olympics lies in that knife sport game, using electronic scoring systems and making it cool by having light up effects and sound effects. But I want to know what you guys think about this whole thing of getting Filipino martial arts into the Olympics. Do you think that FMA should be in the Olympics? Let me know in the comment section below. I'd love to read your comments. Once again, everybody, thank you for watching this video. Please click that notification bell below so that you don't miss our future uploads. And follow us on our social media. Alright, I'll see you guys in the next one. Poof.